try to keep it coming. Things ain't always smooth, but I'll be alright as long as I can find the good. Yes, I will. Yeah. Somehow I know that I can make it. You seem to like my style. Don't you worry, I'm gonna be around a while. Yes, I will. I'm just happy to see you talk to me. I can start again.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavisSmileyShow.com. That's thetavisSmileyShow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, two conversations. It's Monday. So up first, it's Smiley and West. I actually saw Dr. West this weekend when he was back home here in California for a few days. And there was all kind of breaking news while we were together, such as living in the era of Donald Trump. Breaking news every other hour, so it seems. I can tell you this. Doc and I had a spirited dialogue over the weekend about how all of this deification of Charlie Kirk is leading to a marginalization and a normalization of anti-blackness, even by Democrats. Just take a listen to Van Jones.
Hey guys, I've decided I'm going to do something. I'm going to share something personal that I wasn't sure I was going to share, but I think it's important. Charlie Kirk and I were not friends at all. In fact, the last week of his life, we were beefing hard. Beefing online, beefing on air. But the day before he died, he did something that shocked me. He sent me a personal message, calling for personal dialogue, wanted me to come on the show. He said we could be gentlemen together. He said we could deal with our disagreements agreeably. And in the past week and a half, just watching people talk about civil wars and censorship and all this stuff coming out of his death, I just thought it was important to let people know, don't put that on Charlie Kirk, because the last day of his life, he was reaching out to have not more censorship, more conversation, more dialogue with somebody who honestly was one of his adversaries, me. And I just want to share that with the world. And I hope that maybe it might help somebody on both sides deal with issues more like he did.
Oh, Lord help me. That's Van Jones. And I wish it were only Van Jones, but it's also Gavin Newsom, it's Ezra Klein, it's Sally Jenkins, and many, many more. This deification is leading to a marginalization, which in turn leads to a normalization of all this anti-blackness that Charlie Kirk spewed. And they act like it don't even exist. In retrospect, I wish I could have just recorded our conversation over the weekend in real time and played it back for you today. But alas, Dr. Cornel West will join us live from New York City, probably better that way, 1 hour from now. On the B side of our two, Amanda Littman, co-founder and president of Run for Something, explains why she's focused on recruiting young, diverse progressives to run in down ballot races. In our third hour.
I stumbled on this photograph. It kind of made me laugh. It took me way back down memory lane. I see the happiness, I see the pain. Where am I? Back down memory lane. I see us standing there, such a happy, happy pair. Love beyond compare. Look at there, look at there. The way you held me, no one could tell me that love would die. Oh, why?
40 years after her untimely death at just 31 years of age, Richard Rudolph, widower of the late, great Minnie Riperton, and producer Robin Burgess, join us in hour 3 to share details of an all-star tribute called Perfect Angel, the definitive Minnie Riperton tribute. We'll do that. Give Minnie some love today in our last and final hour. But in this first hour, please welcome back to this program the distinguished economist, one of my favorite guests of all time, professor, best-selling author, and co-founder of Democracy at Work, Richard Wolf. Professor Wolf, good to hear your voice. How are you, my friend?
Very well, Tavis. Hope the same for you.
Man, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I'm delighted to have you on. Let me just do this. I got about 2 minutes right quick here now to set this frame, and then we will jump from there. I was just reading a number of pieces in preparation for our conversation. When you talk to Richard Wolf, you better come ready. I was just reading a piece that the American dream now costs about $5 million, and inflation has dimmed the American dream. This one writer says, would you agree with that assessment, that inflation has actually dimmed the American dream?
A little bit of that's left of the American dream. Yeah, the inflation is nipping that and closing that door for most Americans. It's a tragedy we're living through, and the effects are all around us.
Just getting started. Richard Wolf, going to be a great hour, a great deal to unpack here with him, not just economically, but politically, socially, culturally. When he shows up, we get to all of it. It's going to be a great hour with Richard Wolf when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening.
Charitable listening.
That's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at kbla1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community-focused. So just go to kbla1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33, and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay!
This is an ad by BetterHelp. We've all had that epic rideshare experience. Halfway through the trip, you know their heartbreak, their career path, and they know your aspirations to go find yourself in Portugal. It's human. We're all looking for connection, for someone to listen. But sometimes the people we spill our hearts to aren't exactly equipped to help us through it. With over a decade of data-backed experience from helping millions of people, BetterHelp matches you with a therapist based on your needs and goals. No asking for recommendations or endless scrolling through listings. Simply answer a few questions online and you'll be matched with a therapist, often in as little as 48 hours. Join over 5 million people worldwide who've trusted BetterHelp for their mental health and well-being. Get a therapist who gets you. Visit betterhelp.com/ABC radio to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/ABC radio.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley, Professor Richard Wolf, I'm delighted to have on this program as often as I can get to him. Before I get straight away into the money, I jumped so fast with that initial question about inflation because I want to, obviously tap into your economics expertise. But broadly speaking, what do you make of this moment that we find ourselves in? I'm deliberately not coloring it any more than that. But so much has happened since I last had you on this program. And certainly, as you heard me frame at the top of the hour, we're in this Charlie Kirk moment where we're really, really starting to see, to my mind, at least Professor Wolf, who America really is. As I said before, not the ideals, the ideals that we profess, but the ideas that we're wrapping our brains around in this moment right now. It makes me shudder for the future of this democracy. But what say you, broadly speaking, then we'll jump from there, sir.
Well, I'm glad you asked, and I'm going to be blunt and honest because that's the way you run your show, and that's what part of why I love to be here. I would use the word desperate. If you want me to come up with a single word that's governing the situation of the United States economy, it is desperate. It cannot continue the way it has. It does not know how to solve the overwhelming problems that come at it from all sides. And so there's a kind of disintegration and a partly desperate effort to find some way to go forward. And that's giving opportunities to all kinds of voices that we thought had been put into the darker past of this country and that couldn't revive. And here they are taking advantage of the desperate situation to be all around us.
How did then, let me follow you as I always do when you come on, how then did the richest nation in the history of the world become so desperate?
The answer, and this is always the answer to this kind of a deep question, the answer is that the very things that helped make the economy as big and as powerful and as dominant as it was in the 20th century, those same things under new conditions changed everything. And the simplest way to say it is this. If you look at the history of the United States, it began its economic power in New England. From New England, when that declined, it moved to the Midwest. When that declined, remember, we now call it the Rust Belt in the Midwest. Industry went to the far west and to the American South. And in every case, what drove them was profits. What made the economy tick was the profits that they could squeeze out of the mass of people. And when they had squeezed as much as they could, they moved on. And what has happened in the last 40 years is that the same companies, driven by the same profit incentive, decided to move in two directions that changed America. Number one, replace people with machines, computers, robots, and now artificial intelligence. And number two, move production out of the United States, just like they had moved it across the United States before, only now they've moved to China, India, and Brazil, and they leave behind what I here in New England see every day, the empty leftover factories, 4 or 5 stories high, red brick, empty yoga studios, and sculptors are in there doing lovely things, but the industry is gone and the well-being is gone. And that's what now is a national problem for this country, which it does not face up to, which it with its imaginary gropings, desperate gropings, a new leader like Mr. Trump, who is in some magic way going to make us all great again. There is no magic. He's not doing it. He can't do it. He's not even facing, let alone leading us to face up to the problems that as a nation we now have.
I got one or two more big questions for Richard Wolf, but let me just get a little more granular now since he's going where he's going. Let me start with these two reasons you pointed out that we have found ourselves in this desperate situation that we are now in. Your first point was that we're replacing people with machines. Given the way that technology moves, I guess my question is whether or not this moment, this day, this reality with regard to point one was in fact inevitable.
Well, what was inevitable is technological change and technological progress. Human beings are a peculiar kind of animal that is constantly fiddling with things and trying to figure out how to make it better, how to make it cheaper, and all of that's fine. That's never been a problem. It's always been what is done with a breakthrough. I want to remind people that most breakthroughs are little things, little adjustments here and there. And you know who makes them? Working people. The ones right down there in the trenches doing the work and knowing exactly how this part could do better than that part, how this material would work better than that one. But the employers have never been interested in the technology. They are interested in profits. We have a system that rewards you if you make a profit and punishes you if you don't. So what they did is they took the technological breakthroughs and made use of them for profits, but not for the advancement of people. Let me give you a very simple example. If you have a machine or an AI program that makes your workers twice as productive as they were before, what does the capitalist, the employer, do? He buys the machine or the program and he fires half his workers. We all know why, because the other half, the ones he keeps, now with the new machine being twice as productive, they can produce just as much as he did before with half the workers. And he sells all of that, same price, makes the same revenue, but instead of paying wages to the half the workers he fired, he keeps it for himself. Wonderful, higher profits from technology. But here's the alternative that's always there, but not used in a profit-based system. The alternative would have been to say to the workers, hey, you can all change your workday from 8 hours a day to 4, because with this new machine in 4 hours, you can make as much as you did before when there were 8 hours a day of your job. So we'll use the machine and your lives will be transformed. You, the workers, the vast majority in any workplace, because you'll have way more leisure for your family, for your hobbies, for your passions than you have now. And this is technology that helps most people. We don't have that because we live in a system where the profit is what determines everything, and the rest of us live with the destruction that often implies.
Lord have mercy. That's why I love Richard Wolf. Truth teller to the core. As he was talking, I'm thinking of the entreaty, the words of my big mama. It's just too much like right. It's just, what he said is just too much like right for it to be our reality. I digress on that for now. Hastening now to get to the second point that you laid out for why we find ourselves in this desperate situation that we are in, that American corporations, multinationals, are shipping more of our jobs abroad and making more money, to your point just now, here at home. It seems to me that this has been going on for decades now, unabated, which suggests to me that the American people have, or at least think they have, no agency in that conundrum, Professor Wolf.
Absolutely. They don't think they do. They actually do. They're kept down by giving them the ideas in the media and schooling and all the rest of it that they don't have the power that they do. But let me first get to the point that you're asking about. No one made a corporation go abroad. You know, Mr. Trump likes to blame the Chinese. The Chinese are over there. The Chinese had no capacity to control where American corporations decide to invest their money. The decision to close an auto factory in Detroit or a plastics factory in St. Louis or anything else and move it to China is a decision made by the tiny group of people, major shareholders, boards of directors of our major corporations. And they went there again for the same reason. It's more profitable. You can pay a worker much less in China. China is eager to develop its economy, so they'll create the roads you need, and they'll look the other way on some of your environmental behavior because they want to develop their industry. They're a poor country. They wanted to get out of poverty, like most of the countries on this planet. And the corporations saw a chance to make a deal. We'll come to your country. We'll hire your workers because they're a fraction of the cost of workers back home in the United States. So the people you ought to get angry at, if you live in a part of the United States abandoned by American industry, and that's huge parts of the North, the Midwest, even now the South is experiencing it, the far West. Your anger, your bitterness, your blame should go where it belongs, on the corporate sector. And even then, with the understanding those people are behaving the way this system works. If you don't want to live with the results of this system, you have to be strong enough to realize that the system is the problem.
I am making note of the fact that your text, Understanding Capitalism, comes out in paperback on December the 9th. If you have not familiarized yourself with this text, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you read it. It's called Understanding Capitalism. Again, comes out in paperback on December the 9th. The author of that book, I'm honored to have as our guest right now, the eminent economics professor, Dr. Richard Wolf. Let me ask you a quick question about that. Then I got one more big question, and we can get into the nitty gritty here a little bit more. What is it that we are, how might I put this? What is it that we are misunderstanding most critically in this moment about capitalism?
Well, I think the biggest question is something that comes out of history. We have to understand that the history of the world, for much of it, has been the rise and fall of empires. The Roman Empire, the Greek Empire. I mean, every continent on earth, Asia, Africa, Latin America, has had its empires. Mm-hmm. They are born, they evolve over time, and then they die. We are living, and that's what's so hard for Americans. We are living in the American empire during the period of its decline. It grew up in the 20th century. It did real well. It delivered an extraordinary standard of living to the working class of this country for many decades. But it is over. We are not the dominant economy. The president and others can say it 5 times a day, make them feel better, but it doesn't make it the truth. We are now being surpassed by the next explosively powerful creative economy, happens to be the Chinese. That may scare folks. I understand that. I understand that you don't want to see it, you don't want to face it, but that doesn't make it go away. It's like the little child that is frightened by a barking dog and puts his or her little hands in front of their eyes and imagines that the dog will go away. And then when you get a little older, you realize you put your hands there, but the dog is still there, and you got to come to terms with it. We're at that point. It's very hard for Americans to understand. The best electric car and truck in the world is made by the BYD Corporation. It's Chinese. The best solar energy systems in the world, it's made by the Chinese. I could keep going, but I don't want to drive the point home beyond what people can bear to hear. We have to face this. We have to come to terms with the sharing of this planet with people other and different from us who have figured out how to do the production of goods and services better than we can, just as Americans figured out how to do it better than Europeans before them, etc., etc. This is the crisis of our time, and I don't want to be doom and gloomer, but I want to drive home. The British tried to stop the Americans from having an independent country. The wars of 1776 and again a war in 1812. Twice they tried it. Twice the British were defeated, and they realized, don't do that again. You're not going to win that kind of struggle. The United States has tried to stop the Chinese for 25, 30 years. It doesn't work. It's not going to work. The British and the Americans eventually settled down and worked out a way to live together on this planet. That's what has to happen with the Chinese. And the longer we pretend otherwise, the deeper the problems of the United States are going to be.
I got 1 minute here, less than a minute, about 45 seconds. Let me set up where I want to go when we come forward with Professor Richard Wolf, given what he's just said so eloquently right now. The first thing that came to mind while he was talking is that I believe that the telling of truth is necessary because it allows the suffering to speak. If nobody tells the truth, then the condition of suffering gets rendered invisible. Somebody's got to tell the truth so that the suffering can be seen, the suffering of everyday people can be wrestled with. I'm juxtaposing that belief that I've long held with what Professor Wolf just said, that he didn't want to say more to test the capacity of what the people can bear to hear. That's a serious dialectic, that you got to tell them the truth so that the suffering doesn't get rendered invisible. But if you tell them too much, what if they can't bear it? And that leads me to a question then about how this opens the door to Democrat and Republican presidents continuing to lie to us about the fact that the state of our union is strong. Why do we keep being told that lie? Are we asking to be lied to? Because even though the truth needs to be told for the suffering to be seen, maybe we can't bear to hear more truth than what Richard Wolf just told us. So is it them or is it us? That's the first big question. And secondly, just directly, should Democrats allow the government to shut down at the end of this month? Big questions for a big brain. His name is Richard Wolf. You're listening to Tavis Smile.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. Forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says the nation is mourning Charlie Kirk, calling him a champion of free speech.
As president, many people asked me for things, but Charlie was one of the few who always gave more than he took.
At Kirk's Arizona Memorial, Trump vowed to save Chicago, Kirk's hometown. Kirk was killed at a Utah rally earlier this month. Colin Kaepernick will pay for an independent autopsy of DeMartravion Trey Reed, a black college student found hanging from a tree at Delta State University in Mississippi. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump says Reed's family received conflicting information and deserves answers. And singer David has canceled his U.S. tour after the dismembered remains of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez were found in his Tesla. The teen had been missing for over a year. Police searched David's home and say he's cooperating, but no suspect has been named. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Both of LA's NFL teams had drama Sunday on the last play of the game. The Chargers got the W. The Rams did not. The Rams had a chance to win it in Philadelphia with 3 seconds left. Eagles defensive end Jordan Davis blocked Joshua Carter's 44-yard field goal attempt, then scooped up the loose ball and ran 61 yards for a touchdown. The Rams lost 33-26. They led the defending Super Bowl champions 26-7 in the third quarter. The Chargers are one of 6 undefeated teams in the NFL. They got a 43-yard field goal at the buzzer from Cameron Dicker to get past Denver 23-20 at SoFi. The Chargers are 3-0 for the first time since 2002. The Dodgers lead San Diego by 3 games in the NL West with 6 regular season games remaining. The Dodgers' magic number is down to 3. Any combination of 3 Dodgers wins or a San Diego loss gives the Dodgers their 12th division title in 13 years. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it! Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
Colonel Jessup, did you order the code red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Classic scene that needs no description. Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. A Few Good Men. We all know that clip. I play that as a lead in to the continuing conversation with Professor Richard Wolf, the brilliant economics professor who I'm honored to have on this program. If you've tuned in late, you have missed a brilliant, and I do mean brilliant, dissertation in the first half hour. Thank God for Jesus. The podcast post later today. So if you missed any of this, you can check out the podcast at your leisure. You don't want to miss Richard Wolf, and I'm pushing my way toward Cornel West at the top of the hour. How lucky am I? How blessed am I to have Richard Wolf and Cornel West back to back? But Professor Wolf said moments ago, and I'm paraphrasing here, he stopped. He ran a list of all the things where all the areas in which we are being outproduced, outdone, outcreated, out-imagined around the globe when it comes to production. And he stopped. He said, because I don't want to say more than the people can bear to hear. So I responded to that by saying, again, in case you've just tuned in, that I believe the condition of truth is to allow the suffering to speak. If nobody speaks the truth, then the suffering gets rendered invisible. I'm trying to juxtapose that view that I've long held with his view that maybe the American people can't handle but so much truth. Hence, Jack Nicholson, you can't handle the truth. I digress for now. Richard Wolf, take it away.
Well, it's a very important point you make. My goal in hesitating was because I don't want the accumulation of things people have not yet heard to deny them the ability to act. I don't want to get people depressed. I don't want to get people to be resigned, as if this were all overwhelming, as if the human beings, if they got together, couldn't change it. I believe in change. I believe in the collective power of human beings to do it. So I hesitate to go beyond a certain point, lest it inhibit action. But the goal of the government of the United States, of Mr. Trump and unfortunately the leaders of the Democratic Party in many cases also, they have a very different motive. They hold back the truth for fear that the people might act if they let it out, if they showed what it is. So I hold back in order to support action by the people rather than the government, which holds back for fear of where that action might lead. I mean, we live in a society, everyone knows, where some people like Elon Musk is the CEO of a corporation that makes him already the richest man on earth, who was just offered a 10-year contract for $1 trillion, the greatest contract ever offered to anyone. These are amounts of money that could transform the lives of entire nations in the world. And instead of using the wealth for that humane, decent purpose, we're choosing, we, the people of this country, to allow the richest person already who can't spend what he has to accumulate even more that he won't be able to spend. It's beyond outrageous and becoming gross, obscene, and immoral. You also asked me about closing down the government. Let me be clear about this. I am so disappointed in the Democratic Party, I can hardly find the words to get it across. That party ought to be out in the streets of this country at every turn, exposing and opposing what this government is doing. To go back to the way I started, one of the things you see in declining empires is that the rich and the powerful in those empires have the positions and the means to hold on to the wealth they accumulated. And they make the costs of a declining empire fall down on those below them. They offload those costs. That's what we're living through. That's why we're rediscovering how we need to make the government efficient. In other words, stop providing the services that people, the average people, need. We are rediscovering white supremacy and other horrid old ideologies that served in the early days of this system, which also was built on the backs of the people who did the work. We're regressing. That's what we all experience. We see it. And however you put the words to it, we are facing that in a declining empire, unless and until the people begin to understand their own power, the folks at the top will do what they did on the way up in this empire, which is grab as much of the wealth for themselves as they could. And the Elon Musks and the Jeffrey Bezos and the whole line of them up there behind Mr. Trump when he was inaugurated was such a screaming symbolism of who gets the benefits and who's absent that you could want. And the Charlie Kirk is just a small footnote in that process.
So it appears at the moment, Professor Wolff, you're reading the same stuff I'm reading. Of course, you're reading a lot more of it, I suspect. But the stuff we're reading today suggests, at least at the moment, I'm doing all these underlines, suggest at the moment, looks like Democrats are going to hold the line and not give Republicans what they want, what they need to get this budget passed and to keep the government alive for at least another month or two. That's the way it appears today. The Democrats are not going to play ball with them this time. There are a lot of people who celebrate that. And I'm going to be honest about it. I'm one of them, because I do not believe that funding fascism right now is what Democrats ought to be doing. They ought to draw a line in the sand and say, we believe in funding government, but not this kind of government. We're not going to fund a government that's moving in this particular way. I get no naivete here that the victor goes to spoils. I get not naive here that elections have consequences. Yet at the same time, you got to fight back at some point. And I believe that when you fight, you win, but somebody has got to have a spine in this process. Let me just ask you point blank, excuse me, Democrats are in a tight spot. It's not an easy answer. I understand that. But let me phrase it this way. What advice would you be giving to Democrats right now about how to make a decision about whether or not to fund fascism?
No, I agree with you. Look, I have no problem with the Democratic Party saying that it is opposed to the fascistic directions of this government. And among its various activities, it is going to vote against that budget. I have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's what they're not doing that I don't think is compensated for by voting one way or another on the budget.
Got it.
Whether you like it or not, for the majority of the people, at least that I know and that I live, and I was born and raised and lived all my life in the United States, they want to see a new kind of politics. They don't trust what goes on in Washington among either of the political parties. Too much compromise, too much comforting, supporting big business, handout for the donations from the big corporations and the wealthy, etc. If I saw a mass movement, one of whose parts was a refusal to pass the budget, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to see the correct. By the way, and there are some Democrats around the country that are doing it. Make no mistake, it's not a wholesale dismissal.
Mm-hmm.
There are mayors and there are senators and there are governors who are beginning to understand what kind of struggle they have to be part of. But I want to see the Democratic Party do that, because if it doesn't, here's my prediction. We will go the way Europe is going. In Europe, the classical political parties, the equivalents there of the Republicans and Democrats, are all dying. They're being outflanked by new political parties on the right, on the left, because the mass of people have lost confidence that the scope of the real problems we face is enormous relative to the narrow focus of the people in power.
Yeah.
Mr. Trump is unusual because look at what he does. He imposes tariffs on every country in the world. Nobody does that. No other country has ever done that. That's a remarkable kind of aggressiveness. Likewise, he goes through all the government agencies and slashes money, whether it's for scientific, people studying how to defeat cancer, or our school system, or this is wholesale crazy stuff. It's the sign of a declining empire, and it's the sign of people who want to hold on to their wealth. Silicon Valley gets more and more billions and trillions, and the rest of us are wondering where our jobs are. That's what needs a big, powerful political opposition. The Democrats could do it. A few of them want to do it, but the leadership seems to still imagine that you can defeat what Mr. Trump is simply a symbol of by playing games in Washington.
Yes.
This is not enough.
Donald Trump says that these tariffs are putting the economy back on the right track, and as such, the state of our union is strong. We'll let Professor Wolff address that part when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve Black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from Black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, Black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of Black land lost before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling Black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic Black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandlost.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. Get tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley and Richard Wolf, I'm honored to have on this program. Before I get back to Professor Richard Wolf and our remaining moments with him, I have not done this as yet publicly here in Southern California. If you're listening around the country, you'll take note of this as well. But if you're listening in LA on our home station, KBLA Talk 1580, you've been hearing about a Left Coast Forum coming to Los Angeles on Saturday, October 25th, 2025. It's a huge Left Coast Forum. The theme is resistance. That's it. Richard Wolf said earlier that the word to describe our democracy right now is desperation. Well, in desperate moments, somebody's got to resist. And so the theme of this Left Coast Forum this year is called Resistance. Saturday, October 25th, at LA Trade Tech. We'll be there all day. I have not done this publicly as yet, but I just feel it in my spirit to tell you this now. Some breaking news. And again, stay tuned to the station. You'll be hearing more about it in the next few weeks as we lead up to Saturday, October 25th. But I can confirm for you right now that you will be hearing presentations on that day from, wait for it, Richard Wolf. You'll be hearing presentations that day from Cornel West and a long list of notable progressives who are going to be presenting on that day in a variety of ways about every topic under the sun that progressives need to be mobilized around right about now. It is going to be the progressive gathering in the country on the West Coast. You don't want to be there. In just a few days, we will give you information about how to sign up for this free event. Always free to the public, but you must sign up. So just get ready. But I can tell you right now, I've not said that publicly before now because we're just building up to it. But Richard Wolf will present, Cornel West will present, and a long list of other big name progressives are going to join us on Saturday, October 25th, for the Left Coast Forum, sponsored by a lot of progressive organizations that will be leading these plenaries. So there are keynote speeches, plenaries throughout the day, sponsored in part by the Empowerment Congress, the LA Progressive Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, UTLA, LA Care Health Plan, that is, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Health, Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation. Just a sense of, I'll give you a small sense of the progressive organizations that are all coming together with this station, my home station in LA, to bring you this Left Coast Forum Saturday, October 25th. Thought I'd weave that in there since we're talking to Richard Wolf now and to Cornell West in about 8 minutes from now. Our remaining moments of conversation with Professor Wolf when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Dr. Renee here. Did you know this time of year is considered peak asthma season because we typically see a spike in asthma-related hospitalizations? If you have asthma and are having difficulty breathing despite medication, it's time to check in with your doctor so you can help avoid landing yourself in the hospital this season. To learn more about managing your asthma, visit www.luma-edu.com. That's LUMA-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Professor Richard Wolf. I got a tight 4 minutes here, and I want to give every second of that 4 minutes to Professor Wolf to close as he will. Professor Wolf, I guess this is the exit question, and take it as you will, sir. What kind of capitalism is it that we really want?
Well, I want to answer the question you posed before very, very quickly. We have a terrible inequality in this country. It got worse during the Republican presidencies of the last 30, 40 years and during the Democratic. There's no difference between the two parties when it comes to doing nothing about a deepening inequality. And that is a cause of social conflict and social division History proves it over and over again. We are not going to escape it as we become more and more unequal. That is a fundamental problem. If you ask me what we do about it, I think at this point we are beyond this or that reform, this or that fix over here, change this law over there. We got to deal with the basics. And the basics in this country have to do with the way we organize enterprises. In every factory, office, store, a tiny group of people at the top, the owner, the board of directors, the major shareholders, are the ones who make all the key decisions. What the thing produces, what technology it uses, where it does it, and what it does with the revenue that everybody's work helps to produce. It's a tiny minority. They run the whole thing at the workplace. I make a joke to my students I'll close with. We thought we got rid of kings and queens centuries ago, but they fooled us. They changed their name, changed their outfit, crawled inside our businesses, and they now are called CEOs, and they wield the same absolute power and use their power to assemble the wealth in their own hands. That, in the end, is our problem. We have to face that situation needs change.
And in a moment like this, how is Richard Wolf sustaining his hope?
Yeah, I'm trying very hard to get this message out, to join with others like you, like Cornell West, with whom I work fairly often. Try to get the word out that we can change this system, just like this system was born out of another one can be born out of this one. That's what we need to think about.
His book, Understanding Capitalism, comes out in paperback on December the 9th. Pleased to have him on in advance of that. And as often as he can make time for us, we are always thrilled to be in dialogue with our friend, our brother, Richard Wolf. Professor, thank you for your time. As always, I'll see you soon.
Okie doke, and thank you for your program. It's more important now than it's ever been.
You're kind to say that. More of Tavis Smiley, including the next hour. It kicks off with Smiley and West. Cornell West is here in a moment.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says the nation is mourning Charlie Kirk, calling him a champion of free speech.
As president, many people asked me for things, but Charlie was one of the few who always gave more than he took.
At Kirk's Arizona Memorial, Trump vowed to save Chicago, Kirk's hometown. Kirk was